Pritam. Hey Gaurav. Hey Ayan. How's everyone doing?
Doing well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Hope you are all staying warm. It is absolutely white and snowy in Sammamish. Uh, it has been snowing since last night, and it is entirely white. Today we have Gaurav, and you all know Gaurav. Gaurav has been joining us for so many of the classes, and he's a very experienced Bhakti practitioner. So today he would be leading us in our discussion. So over to you, Gaurav.
Thank you, Raghav. Can everybody hear me? Okay, thank you. So, thank you all for joining. It's very nice to see you, Zuan, Pritam, Raghav, Ayan. Um, so, today's topic that we are going to discuss is the consciousness, the missing link. And the last week we discussed about the pursuit of happiness. So, the way this course is designed is very amazing. Discover yourself. The next session, after we discuss the pursuit of happiness, is consciousness, because these two sessions are linked very much together. So like we saw last time that whether it's a small ant on the cupboard of your kitchen, it is looking for a grain of sugar to be happy. Or if it's an elephant, roaming around in the forests of Africa, it's also looking for happiness. So happiness is basically the inherent nature of consciousness, of anyone who is conscious. So, and that pursuit for happiness can be understood by understanding who actually we are. So let us dive deep in order to get to the next level, that what consciousness is, how consciousness actually relates to our body, to our mind. So we'll dive deep into it. Yes, we can go to the next slide.
Consciousness, the missing link. Who am I? Am I this body, or the mind? Or am I something higher? Am I an American, Australian, Indian, or African? Does it really matter? When asked, "Who are you?" most people will reply with their name. If your name is changed, will you change? If not, then who are you? Others may reply by showing their photograph. However, the facial features keep changing throughout our lives, and in an extreme case, if the face is changed with plastic surgery, will you change? The purpose of life is to find happiness. In order for me to be happy, it is imperative that I seek the answer to the question, who am I? All spiritual culture and traditions of the world have encouraged this inquiry and to search for an answer within. The Bhagavad Gita, one of the most ancient books of spiritual wisdom from the East, explains that we are not this body, but the Atma, spiritual consciousness. The Atma is the spark of life force that activates the body. The body can be compared to a car, and the consciousness to the driver of the car. Without a driver, the car cannot move by itself. Similarly, the body cannot function without the presence of the consciousness. Someone may ask, has anyone seen the consciousness? According to the Gita, a consciousness is indestructible, individual, and changes bodies. It has a form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. The consciousness is situated in the region of the heart, and thus all the energies of bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body. The corpuscles, which carry the oxygen from the lungs, gather energy from the consciousness. When the consciousness passes away from this position, activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. The Upanishads say that the size of the consciousness is estimated to be 1/10,000th the tip of the hair. Hence, it is infinitesimally small and thus inconceivable. Some differences between matter and spirit are: matter is formless, while spirit gives form to matter. Matter is dead, while spirit is consciousness. Matter is perishable, while spirit is imperishable. Matter undergoes transformations, while the spirit does not undergo any transformations. Existence of consciousness. Due to its spiritual nature, the consciousness cannot be seen by limited range of vision provided by our eyes, made up of matter. However, the existence of consciousness can be perceived in many ways. Common sense. We get an indication that the self is different from the body when we attend a funeral. We may see a crying widow grieving. He's gone. My husband is gone. She says that her husband is gone, yet the body is lying there, looking much the same as it did a few days before. Who is gone at death? It is the real person, the self who is different from the body it animates, that goes away. Intuitive understanding. By thoughtful self-observation, we can become aware of the existence of the self beyond the body. For example, we don't think of our foot or our head or any part of our body as me, but as my foot, my head, my body. Then who am I? Who is that self, myself, beyond the body and beyond even the mind? That is the consciousness. Consciousness. Subtle objects can be perceived by their symptoms. For example, one cannot see air, but it can be perceived through its symptom of blowing wind. One cannot see intelligence, but it can be perceived by giving an IQ test. Similarly, the symptom of the existence of spirit is that we are conscious. Consciousness from the spirit pervades throughout the body, and the body appears alive. Just like the sun spreads heat and light all around, the spirit spreads consciousness all around the body, from the tip of the toes and fingers to the top of the head. It is this consciousness that enables us to think, feel, move, and so on. Thus, consciousness is the symptom of the spirit. Consciousness is what distinguishes a dead body from a living one. When an iPod plays music, it feels no emotions. However, a singer undergoes several emotions while singing. This is consciousness. The ability to be aware of one's existence, to think, to feel, and to will. As Thomas Huxley said, there is a third thing in the universe, to wit, consciousness, which I cannot see to be matter of force. Consciousness gives the proof of the spirit. Changing body. We had a body which was 3 years old. If we show someone our photograph when we were 3 years old, they will most likely not be able to recognize us from then. Our body has changed since then. Our mind has changed since then. Our intelligence has changed since then. However, the person within, the experiencer, remains unchanged. This indicates that we, the experiencer, are different from our body, mind, or intellect. The Gita explains, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to young to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences. NDEs, as the name suggests, involve people who have a close call with death. Many people have
Similar to a near-death experience.
Raga, sometimes when this happens, I had it happen once, you just have to refresh the page and reshare the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why it does that on Google Slides sometimes.
Everything stops at death, so.
It's taking a while.
Maybe
I think you have to stop screen sharing and then close the presentation view and then represent. I don't know why it's so specific, but yeah, must be the snow.
You clearly have figured it out.
Hey, hi Jerry. Jerry also joined. I see.
As indicated by certain brainwaves,
Yes, it is working.
many people having it are different from our body, mind, or intellect.
So I will go ahead and share again, and I should hit share sound, otherwise you can't hear it. And here you go.
The Gita explains, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to young to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences. NDEs, as the name suggests, involve people who have a close call with death. Many people having NDEs also have out-of-body experiences, in which they report observing their physical body and events relating to it from a perspective outside the body during severe illness or physical trauma resulting in unconsciousness. A typical case might involve a person who is resuscitated from a heart attack and reports that he observed from a point outside his body the medical personnel endeavoring to revive him. At such times, according to standard medical opinion, the normal functioning of the brain, as indicated by certain brain waves, is impaired, and the patient should be unconscious, if indeed consciousness is a manifestation of the brain. The book Into the Unknown, published by the Reader's Digest, even gives evidences of people who have had OBEs or out-of-body experiences. Such people who could perform OBE were made to lie on a bed closing their eyes, go out of the body, observe the different types of objects like triangular prism, rectangular, circular plates kept on a loft, again return into the body, and draw the objects that they saw on the loft on a sheet of paper. Such drawings perfectly matched with the objects kept high up on the loft that no one could observe from the ground level. This is called OBE, or out-of-body experience. There is enough research work in NDE and OBE presented by individuals with impeccable scientific credentials. For example, Dr. Michael B. Sabam, a cardiologist and professor at the Emory University Medical School, was openly skeptical of NDEs, but changed his mind after investigating them. Past life memories. Rigorous, unbiased studies have been carried out by serious researchers on past life memories. Ian Stevenson, Carlson Professor of Psychiatry at the University of Virginia, has extensively investigated spontaneous reincarnation memories recounted by children. In such cases, he has been able to positively corroborate what the child has claimed by thoroughly investigating details of the place and people they describe, including the dead person they claim to have been. Stevenson has assembled numerous accounts of over 3,000 cases of reincarnation and verified them, always taking great care to screen out fabrications. His studies give convincing evidence that the conscious self can travel from one physical body to the next. Clearly, when one body dies, the contents of its brain are destroyed, and there is no physical process by which they can influence the contents of another brain. The logical interpretation is that the conscious self must be an entity distinct from the brain. Incarnation. The past life memories of an ex-pilot, James Leninger. Could a little boy be proof of reincarnation? ABC News, June 30th, 2005. Nearly 6 decades ago, a 21-year-old Navy fighter pilot on a mission over the Pacific was shot down by Japanese artillery. His name might have been forgotten were it not for a 6-year-old James Leninger. Quite a few people, including those who knew the fighter pilot, think James is the pilot reincarnated. James's parents, Andrea and Bruce, a highly educated modern couple, say they are probably the people least likely to have a scenario like this pop up in their lives. But over time, they have become convinced that their little son has had a former life. From an early age, James would play with nothing else but planes, his parents say. But when he was 2, They said the planes their son loved began to give him regular nightmares. I'd wake him up and he'd be screaming, Andrea told ABC News' Chris Cuomo. She said that she asked her son what he was dreaming about, and he would say, airplane crash on fire, little man can't get out, reality check. Andrea says her mom was the first to suggest James was remembering a past life. At first, Andrea says she was doubtful. James was only watching kids shows, his parents say, and they weren't watching World War II documentaries or conversing about military history. But as time went by, Andrea began to wonder what to believe. In one video of James at age 3, he goes over a plane as if he's doing a pre-flight check. Another time, Andrea said she bought him a toy plane and pointed out what appeared to be a bomb on its underside. She says James corrected her and told her it was a drop tank. I'd never heard of a drop tank, she said. I didn't know what a drop tank was. Then James' violent nightmares got worse. Occurring 3 or 4 times a week, Andrea's mother suggested she look into the work of counselor and therapist Carol Bowman, who believes that the dead sometimes can be reborn. With guidance from Bowman, they began to encourage James to share his memories, and immediately, Andrea says, the nightmares started to become less frequent. James was also becoming more articulate about his apparent past, she said. Bowman said James was at the age when former lives were most easily recalled. They haven't had the cultural conditioning, the layering over of the experience in his life so the memories can percolate up more easily, she said. Trail of Mysteries. Over time, James's parents says he revealed extraordinary details about the life of a former fighter pilot, mostly at bedtime when he was drowsy. They say James told him his plane had been hit by the Japanese and crashed. Andrea says James told his father he flew a Corsair and then told her they used to get flat tires all the time. In fact, historians and pilots agree that the plane's tires took a lot of punishment on landing, but that's a fact that could easily be found in books or on television. Andrea says James also told his father the name of the boat he took off from, Natoma, and the name of someone he flew with, Jack Larson. After some research, Bruce discovered both the Natoma and Jack Larson were real. The Natoma Bay was a small aircraft carrier in the Pacific, and Larson is living in Arkansas. It was like, holy mackerel, Bruce said. You could have poured my brains out of my ears. I just couldn't believe it. James 2 equals James M. Huston Jr. Bruce became obsessed, searching the internet, combing through military records and interviewing men who served aboard the Natoma Bay. He said James told him that he had been shot down at Iwo Jima. James had also begun signing his crayon drawings James 3. Bruce soon learned that the only pilot from the squadron killed at Iwo Jima was James M. Hudson Jr. Bruce says James also told him his plane had sustained a direct hit on the engine. Ralph Klaber, a rear gunner on a U.S. airplane that flew off the Natoma Bay, says his plane was right next to one flown by James M. Huston Jr. during a raid near Iwo Jima on March 3, 1945. Klaber said he saw Huston's plane struck by anti-aircraft fire. I would say he was hit head-on, right in the middle of the engine, he said. Treasured mementos. Bruce says he now believes his son had a past life in which he was James M. Huston Jr. He came back because he wasn't finished with something. The Lenningers wrote a letter to Huston's sister, Ann Barron, about their little boy, and now she believes it as well. The child was so convincing in coming up with all the things that there is no way in the world he could know, she said. But Professor Paul Kurtz of the State University of New York at Buffalo, who heads an organization that investigates claims of the paranormal, says he thinks the parents are self-deceived. They're fascinated by the mysterious and they built up a fairy tale, he said. James's vivid, alleged recollections are starting to fade as he gets older, but among his prized possessions remains 2 haunting presents sent to him by Barron: a bust of George Washington and a model of a Corsair aircraft. They were among the personal effects of James Huston sent home after the war. He appears to have experienced something that I don't think is unique, but the way it's been revealed is quite astounding, Bruce said. Asked if the idea that James may have been someone else changes his or his wife's feelings about their son, Bruce said, "It doesn't change how we think. I don't look at him and say, that's not my boy. That's my boy."
Okay, over to you, Gaurav.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about the video? Does anyone has any comments? Anything stood out of the video? Anything that struck you or you liked or you didn't like?
That's a trip. That's all I have to say about that little boy. Wow. I've
James.
always believed in reincarnation, and that just kind of sends it home.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was hearing that, I was remembering Bush O'Hare. You know, the Chicago airport is named after Bush O'Hare. He was also fighting in the World War II against Japan. So that's also a nice story. Maybe I'll share some other time. Story of integrity, you know. And Al Capone, the villain, was also involved there, the gangster. So, okay, yeah, that was nice, Jerry. You shared about that little boy with this past life. Anyone else would like to share anything?
That was astonishing. Gives me the chills. But when they mention the out of body experience, it makes me think, is that similar to meditation?
That out of body experience was mainly done by this doctor, Michael Sebaum, in the Emory Hospital in Atlanta. So basically, he's a doctor there in the emergency department. So if somebody hits the car on somebody else's car or on a tree, right, they are brought to the emergency room, and within the emergency room, these patients sometimes experience out of body experiences or near death experiences. So it's not exactly we are saying about meditation. It's more about you know their their state is something where uh, their consciousness that gets out of the body, and they are able to see things outside their body, even though they are unconscious medically.
So like their spirit
Yeah.
travels.
Yeah, the soul can rise up, and then you saw they can draw a few things which are on the loft, right? So yeah, that is what was represented.
That's
And that is scientific, right? I mean, he has written a book also on that, on out of body experience, and he's a doctor. He's a certified doctor. So I mean, till now, people used to just think, oh, this is all myth and all these things doesn't exist. But medical science is also now believing into the spiritual science and the psychological science. So we can get the best knowledge if we harmonize all these different, branches of knowledge, whether it's spiritual science or psychological science or material science.
amazing.
Yeah. And like Jerry also mentioned about James in World War II. So similarly, Dr. Ian Stevenson, we saw in the video that he also did many cases of past life reincarnations, not only in America, but China, Asia, and all over the globe. Thousands of cases he has documented as a part of his PhD research and his university, research papers. So he has a set of questions which are based on a mathematical formula, which arrives at a conclusion whether somebody is telling something, is that true or false, right? Because so there's a deep research that has gone into all these things.
What was the Gaurav? What's the name of the person? I am a researcher, so I'll also just look into.
Dr. Ian Stevenson, IAN Stevenson. He's from the University of West Virginia, and Dr. Michael Sebaum from Emory University, Atlanta.
Because I have like, I don't know, like I'll be honest, that I believe that people can have out of body experiences, but I have also been reading and hearing about, say, AI and artificial intelligence, neural networks, and how even they closely represent or similarly represent how our brains are supposed to function, and even they seem to have sort of in their hidden states, they have, say, very particular basic building blocks of, say, they'll have lines of different orientations that combine to make a more complex image that neural network is understanding. So what if something like that is happening, and when I am dreaming or having sort of these out of body experiences, um, these are just like mental states that I have in my mind due to my experiences that are somehow
But if you have experiences, how can you tell what's kept on the loft, right? So if the patient is lying on a bed and being operated, how can he tell that on the roof of the hospital there is a red colored bucket kept, right? You cannot tell. That's not mental concoction, that's factual. So these are PhDs, researchers, and obviously you are too. But all these researches are backed up by all these facts. It's not mental concoction. Yeah, I would highly recommend you go through this book, by Dr. Michael Sebaum, and also do some research on Ian Stevenson. And we saw this proof of James, right? So he was a small child. He was able to recollect, all the names of the shape of his friends and of the location and everything, which was done, that was true.
Yeah, that's very fascinating, and that
Yeah.
really is
Yeah.
interesting. I don't think my
Yeah.
mental model of how a AI is similar to brain explains that.
Yeah.
You cannot have another AI's you weights in your
We can discuss in detail AI some other time. It's a very big topic. I am also into AI security, so it would be a nice chat. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Raghav, you have.
Sure. Now we have the icebreaker. I know we've already broken the ice, but maybe a very quick icebreaker, which is tell us about your name. What is its meaning and how do you feel about it?
I can go first. My name is Preetham, and I believe it means loved. So, loved light, Preetham.
Another interesting name, or another interesting thing about your name, is that your last name is Das, which in Sanskrit means like servant or to serve, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and then because I'm talking, I still go next. But my name means I've heard two versions of my name. When I was growing up, I was told by my parents that my name means creator of the universe. But then recently, as I've started reading Sanskrit and studying it, I realized it also means shelter. So I guess there's multiple meanings behind my name.
I can go next. My name is Suyan, and my name means shine through, like the sun shines through.
That's beautiful. I can go next. I'm Raghav. Raghav means it is a name of the Lord, which essentially means all attractive. So, Shane, I love the name. Shine through, beautiful.
Shining through darkness towards light. Jerry, you are on mute if you are speaking. I saw your lips moving, so that's why I was.
Oh, I just got a new phone. I might drop off any second because I'm trying to drain the battery since it's a new phone before I charge it. But anyways, I had to Google my name because I didn't know. It means like spear warrior, which I think is actually fitting for me. And then my last name I do know means lion.
Lion warrior.
Yeah, Lion Warrior. That's good. Yeah.
You should all be scared of Jerry.
It reminds me of the movie The Lion King.
Let's always keep these virtual, not in person.
Yeah. Yeah, my name is Gaurav, and it means uh, prestige or pride. So, I mean, sometimes I feel it can be taken both ways, good pride and bad pride. If you're arrogant, then that pride is not good. But if you're proud of something uh, based on what you have been given for being grateful, so that kind of pride is really good pride. So it's like the good dog and the bad dog, the good pride and the bad pride. So I'm trying to follow the good one. Okay. Is the next slide, Raghav? Or
Yes,
next
I think
question?
we can just go through the questions now. Go to Rasman's slide where it says the first question is, what is the soul? How can we perceive the existence of the soul?
Would you like to send in the chat or?
Yes, I'll just put in the chat.
Would anyone like to answer that? Anyways, well, before we get into it, if you're thinking, you can answer also later. But I was thinking about this nice small story I wanted to share with you. In the beginning of this video, we discussed that the person within is different from the mind and the body, right? The body changes, as medical science also says that the cell changes, and the mind, when we were a small kid, our mind wanted some candies or lollipops, ice cream. Now we are grown up, we probably want something else, big cars, big house, or whatever we want. And we also get distracted by so many nets, internet, and net profit, and we forget to connect to the inner net that is within us. So which can actually connect us to the soul, because the path, the gateway to the soul is within us. All of us have that potential uh, and that route where we can connect to ourselves. So, but there are so many distractions in this world. So how do we deal with that? So I was thinking of a small story of a crane. A crane generally stands on one leg near the river stream, and there are hundreds of fishes going on, and thousands of fishes are passing by, small little fishes. And the crane is looking for a big fish, and as soon as a big fish comes, it immediately captures it and eats it. So, although I'm vegetarian, I'm not insisting on eating fishes, but just an analogy. It's a nice analogy that we focus on what's really important in life. We have our duties in this world, and we also have our duties to take care of our health and everything. But like a crane, if we can focus on what's really important, if we can dedicate some time to connect to ourselves, and focus on what's really important in life, then that way we can really understand what is soul and what happiness is. Beyond all these distractions of the internet and net profit and so many other things, we can connect to the inner net. So yeah, just a small thought I wanted to share in a story.
I'm thinking about the question, what is the soul and how do we perceive its existence? I suppose like it will be more, I don't know. That's my first thing, that I don't know what the soul is. But what I think is maybe the soul is like when I think, and my life force in me is maybe the soul. Like everything else is the body. Whatever is in me that is matter is
Yes.
not the soul. So me minus matter equals to soul. Maybe that will
Hmm.
be my thing of soul. But how can
Yeah.
we perceive the existence? Um, I suppose we all. I don't know how to how to describe it. I don't know. To
Yeah, there are various ways you can perceive, like we discussed in the video, by common sense, by intuitive understanding, right? And our body is changing. So, like common sense, we saw the example of the lady was crying for the husband. Husband has already gone, but the body is still there, right? And then intuitive understanding is when we say that, okay, when you say this is my foot or this is my body, my head, you say my, but who is I then, right?
using yeah,
Who's
right.
I?
Mm.
Because you say this is my foot, you say this is my car. So anything, so that's an intuitive understanding. So, and then consciousness. So just like we saw in the video that you cannot see air, or there are right now Wi-Fi signals in your room. You're connecting to internet. Can you see them? You need an instrument to see them, right? So similarly, soul is not which can be seen through the eyes. It needs a different, like a spiritual instrument to see it. And it is described in our scriptures that the size of the soul is very, very small. And there have been some scientific experiments also on that. A body was captured in a glass box or some things like that. So there are extensive research done on these things also. So, and then past life, experiences. Logically, you can understand, okay, this boy died, in a World War II, and then what was that which carried over from that death, from that dead body to this little James, little boy. So obviously there is something, we're calling it soul, but some consciousness, component of consciousness is traveling. So, so yeah, it's a deep, science where you can involve psychology, medical science, and spiritual science.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting one. Right? The way I think about the soul is it is that energy that powers us, that is the force of life, if you will. Um, like I lost both of my grandparents in quick succession, and they
Mhm.
were just fine like a few hours back, and then they were
Oh,
not moving after a few hours. And um, what was everybody saying? I was very young at that time, and what everybody was saying was, "Oh, he is no more or she is no more." But then the body was still there, like everything was still there. What is no more? It and that thing that powered their bodies, that made them move, that gave them the energy, that
yeah.
that he or that she went away, and that was my first indulgence into, or like first time that I understood that potentially what the soul was, that powers us to think, to move, to do anything.
Thanks for sharing that, Raghav. Okay, so next one is, what are the qualities? Yeah, this should be pretty easy if you connect it to that example of World War II for James, that consciousness carried from one body to another. So what is the call? Although he was burnt in the aircraft, it means his body was burnt, his brain was burnt, his heart was burnt, you know, his hairs were burnt, everything was burnt probably in that, plane crash. But one thing didn't burn, which carried from that body to this body. What was that? That is the soul, right? So what
Just
is the quality of the soul? It cannot be burnt,
be destroyed.
cannot be
Yeah.
destroyed. Okay, any Raghav, you want to post other questions? Or if anyone wants to speak something about this more or qualities. And
This question will intrigue Preetham, I feel.
Sorry, Zuen, you wanted to say something. I think you unmuted.
Oh, I was thinking the qualities of the soul, is that like energy? Like, you know how you can't burn energy?
Hmm.
So I was thinking of like the soul is like a spirit
Hmm.
where I think earlier they mentioned how your body is like a vehicle. So you're just borrowing this vehicle. So your body is like a host, and your soul is like a spirit, and you're here to just observe and learn.
Very interesting. Yeah, I like that.
I don't know. That's my my thought.
Ah, no, that's a good perspective, and I think it's true. Yeah, yeah, we are experiencing that through this body. Um, and there are so many other bodies, like, body of animals. They are experiencing, through their body, through their eyes. A fish is experiencing something else. An elephant is experiencing something else. So yeah, I think definitely um, we are spiritual beings in material experience bodies. So that's a true identity. If you go into the depth of it, we are actually that consciousness, that spirit which you are telling. That's a true identity. This body is just a temporary, like a cover. Just like you wear clothes. Today you are wearing a nice jacket. After 10 years, it may worn. It may not work. It may tear apart or be worn out. So you'll just throw it and probably get a new jacket.
On another note, it just came up, but they were talking about uploading your consciousness.
Floating your consciousness.
Uploading your
Uploading.
consciousness.
Oh, Neuralink you're talking about.
Yeah, so but then how are you supposed to upload your spirit, your soul, to a computer?
You cannot do that.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. See, what Neuralink is doing is something different. They are just, the way you think and the way you analyze things. They are kind of, having a training data for that and uploading it, but it cannot be similar as your consciousness. There's so many things which these AI systems cannot do, which we are doing. I mean, that's another topic for the day. It's a big discussion, but yeah, you can think yourself, how we are different from robots, and you cannot really love a robot, or you cannot inspire a robot. There's so many things. Or a robot cannot feel that happiness, that bliss that you are feeling right now within your heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
That experience won't be there. So that joy, that love. So these are things beyond machines.
Yeah, one thing I would say different is you can turn a robot on and off with it runs on electricity. You cannot turn a person on and off,
Yeah.
and yeah, like the soul just continues to live, I suppose, um, in forms we don't and I don't understand.
Yeah. It can reveal you a lot of information. You can give a lot of prompts and it can respond to you. But can a robot feel that connection to love and be loved? That kind of connection, the robot can never do that. And that is the true nature of the soul. The soul is looking for love, ananda, bliss, happiness. So that cannot be replaced by any machines, because machines are material and the soul is a spiritual particle. So you cannot compare a material thing with a spiritual thing.
Mm.
Yes, Raghav, you can go ahead.
We're just saying that the other piece, exactly to what you said earlier, was um, the for like my Roomba can clean my home very well, but it will need to be told that you have to vacuum. Versus like um, the soul it provides that force or that energy that's a spontaneity that um, that I feel like machines don't have. Of course, this will
Yeah.
be a raging topic for the next several
Yeah.
years as AI
I
tries to
can,
develop.
yeah, I can share an article. There is a friend of mine who is a director in IIT in India. Uh, um, so he wrote an article, published a paper on this. So I can share that.
I would love that, Gaurav. This is such a
Yeah.
raging topic. I would love to learn
Yeah.
more about it.
And Professor Lakshmidhar Behra is from IIT Kanpur. He was the AI department head. I'm sure you know him.
Yes, he was my professor. Yes.
Oh, he was a professor? Okay. Yeah.
He was the professor who had the most number of patents every
Yeah.
year. He used to get like the more he used to get like there's a IIT wide or like India wide award every year of like the most number of patents, and he used to get this award every year.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has published this paper. So, I mean, he's an authority in this area.
Hmm.
Very intellectual crowd.
And next question now is, do animals and plants have a soul? Which is very interesting.
I
I
believe
think so.
animals do. Yeah. Mm, yeah, dogs and cats, definitely. Like dogs, we have a dog. We had a dog in our home, and yeah, I don't know. Like even he has a body, and all the parallels that we are drawing with our body and our soul seems to apply to him as well. So I don't see why he does not have a soul. Plants, I'm not sure though. Like I know they're living, but do they have a soul? Um, what do you all think?
Mm, they can sense like sunlight. So, when they're happy, they're thriving, right? And when they have no water, no sunlight, so that's like food for them, they wilt and die.
Hmm.
So pretty similar to animals. They have feelings, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a research on this topic. I remember reading it several years back. That there were, I think, University of Minnesota or somewhere, where they kept plants, and on one set of the plants, the researcher would come and yell every day and say all harsh words, and on the other, they would put classical music. And the plants that they put classical music on, they grew much taller. And the plants that they yelled at, the death rate was very high. So we may think that plants may not feel, but hearing to your point, like plants do have feelings. And that was like an eye opener for me. And then this was looks like it was repeated in many universities, and so um, that was very interesting to me help me believe that plants have soul. I think they have a different level of discerning power or cognition power than animals, but they still
Mm.
have the soul because they can feel. They may not be able to move or do a lot of those things, so they do not have the same intellectual faculties, maybe, but they I feel like they can feel and therefore they have the soul. But I don't know, like what everybody
Yeah.
There was something I was reading. I wouldn't say recently because that would be a lie, but there's something I read some time ago where they actually did an experiment with plants based on the type of sound and music they're around. And they measured how well they grew. They played Beethoven or classical music next to one type, like one plant, whereas another plant, it was just like rock and roll music or like street sounds, and they ran the experiment multiple times with different types of music. I can find the paper, or I'll send it if I can find the paper before the meeting ends. Um, Otherwise, I'll send it in the WhatsApp group. But it was really interesting to see how the more classical, peaceful music actually helped with the growth of the plant. And I don't know if, like, when I was growing up, at least my parents like literally put a cassette recorder by my like nightstand, and they played like, some of this music because I think there's also studies been done about how the sound also affects brain development in babies.
Yeah.
And can I have a copy of that cassette? I would also put the same cassette next to my baby then.
Yes.
Yeah, I think like one more thing that's coming to my mind is like I feel all things that have souls sort of seem to care about like other souls, be their babies, other souls around them. Like a plant will provide shade, and like it just naturally is that way. Um, like even for its young, like it has systems that makes it grow, makes their babies grow. I don't see robots doing it.
Mhm.
Like cannot talk about 200 years from now when we have AGI or something, but like
Exactly.
right now, right now the living beings and like all um, things that have seem to have souls seem to like care about their babies, care about other souls as well. So
Very good point. Very good point, Preetham. Very deep. Yeah. The nature of the soul, like we said, is to serve, to love, and be loved. So that's a part of it, to care for others and look for care from others also. And
I
I'll,
would like,
yeah, yes, Zuin, go ahead.
oh, sorry. I would like to tether on that between the robot and human. Uh, Human, we have unconditional love versus robot, no heart, no love, no caring.
Programmed love. Yeah. Are you into computer science also, Zuin?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So we have 4 minutes, and are we giving importance to satisfy a real self, the soul, apart from taking care of the body? If not, how can we take care of our soul in our daily life? So before you answer this question, just 2 minutes, I would like to give a small, you know, background on application of all this knowledge, whatever we have studied today, and then probably you can answer this question also. So why are we studying all these things about the soul? What is the use of, you know, getting to know about the soul? Okay, the soul exists or doesn't exist. How does it? Why do I care for that? We care because we can apply this knowledge in our life. The application of this knowledge is very important for us to live a very happy and meaningful life, that we are leading right now. For example, like we saw that example of James, his consciousness traveling from one body to another. So you imagine the journey of a soul. It's like a line. Line means line, line. You make a line with a pencil on a piece of paper, and a line has how many dots? Can you tell?
infinite.
Infinite dots, right? And so that is the journey of the soul. And this one dot is just one lifetime that we are experiencing today. We live for 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever years we don't know, out of our control. We don't know how many days we have or months we have. So in this journey, we understand that yes, we are here for a short time, and we understand that how to be happy. And what if somebody said something to us like 10 years back, and we are still worried today, and we are not focusing on the present, and we are not focusing on the goal, uh, our target, just like the crane, what's really important for us in life, you know. And like Martin Luther King said, that you should have something in your life, a goal that you can die for. Otherwise, it's not worth living for. So So all these small things and distractions or setbacks that come to our life really doesn't matter. So this knowledge empowers us to bounce back, to be resilient, to be encouraged, to continue ahead in our life with increased enthusiasm and more vigor to pursue our goals in life, and that is whatever is really important for us. So that is the application of this knowledge of soul. To focus on light, like Zuyan, you said, the plant goes towards the light, the sunlight. So I saw a tree in one of our monasteries. There are a lot of buildings around. So the tree is going in the direction of the sun. It's not getting stagnated by darkness. It's not getting retarded by all the buildings around, but it is finding its way towards the light and it's growing. So, and it's teaching us a lesson how we should grow in life. So that's the practical application of this knowledge. It's very, very powerful. Okay, now if you want to answer this question, you can answer. Are we giving importance to satisfy our real self, the soul, apart from taking care of the body? If not, how can we take care of our soul in our daily life? So how are you connecting to your inner self?
I suppose like listening to good sounds, that's coming to mind, because that also helps plants grow. Why wouldn't it help me grow?
Yes. Like the mantra meditation, right? We have
Yeah.
shared some mantras. So when we chant those mantras, it actually gives a connection to our real self, to that soul. And then we can feel that happiness. And whatever distractions or setbacks we have in this world can be overcome by that love, because it fulfills us so much. It gives us so much satisfaction and happiness that we don't worry about all the external distractions and setbacks and whatever is going around.
Yeah, I agree. Meditations, it's like watering our soul through
Perfect.
meditations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice, Zuin. Yeah, watering our soul. So it, when you water the root of the tree, it doesn't only water the root, it waters the leaves, the twigs, the flowers, and everything. So we become happy in every aspect of our life, whatever we do, whether we work or we have relationships. In every aspect of life, we'll be happy if we are able to water that root of our soul with that meditation, with that sound vibration, with that connection, and the character and integrity that with which we lead our lives. That is also a very integral part of spirituality, how our character is. So, anything else, Raghav? We have another question.
No, this is fabulous. Thank you all for joining. This is a very intellectual crowd and really nice discussion. And I would love that we all keep on sharing like what we learned throughout the week as we pondered upon these. It's a good time that we are meeting on Saturday mornings, because then like we have a little bit of time before the craziness of the week starts. So like feel free to share like any of Gaurav, like if that you can share that that research paper
Yeah, I'll share that
on
paper. Yeah.
WhatsApp, and
Yes,
let's
sure.
keep the conversation going maybe on WhatsApp, or as well as we just ponder more. These sessions are just a thought starter so that we all can go deep within, and then through sound meditation elevate our consciousness. So
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Raghav.
Very interesting topic today.
Yeah,
Actually,
thank you
the
for the
next topic
discussion.
is much more interesting, because while we are trying to connect to our soul, there will be so many distractions, and the mind is the biggest, hindrance, which creates so many blockages in that connection. So we'll discuss mind is a friend or a foe.
Oh, both.
So how to make it a more of a friend, then that we'll discuss in the next session.
yeah.
Awesome.
Gaurav, thank you for leading this session. Like, this is a very interesting session, because this session is actually very foundational to
Yeah.
to us. it's very important to recognize that what is the soul, and we are actually the soul. We say this is my mind, this is my body, but actually who we are is that soul, and that is such an important point, everyone, to digest, reflect. Um, and while we may be intellectually be convinced right now, but it takes a lot of time to realize that, if you will. So I would just ask us to spend a little bit of time reflecting about it, because I think it's you would build that conviction. While intellectually it just makes complete sense, it takes a lot because we are so conditioned uh, by everything. And that is why it is so important to reflect, but then also take all the steps to finally do what is right for the soul, whether it is mantra meditation, whether it is caring for somebody else. Because you said like, hey, somebody, plants and animals and humans want to care. And that is one of the reflections of the soul, or that is one of the qualities of the soul. So definitely take the time to satisfy the soul as well, which is through meditation, activities that are spiritual in nature, associating with like-minded people like this, who are trying to grow spiritually. So definitely a very important session. So thank you, Gaurav.
Thank you, Raghav, and thank you, Zuyan and Pritam Ayan,
Yeah.
for pouring in your thoughts and making this wonderful, discussion.
Thank you so much.